This is Let's Talk Football here on the sportshacks.com. And as always at this time of the week, we're going to have a look back at the League of Ireland action last weekend and a look forward to the League of Ireland action this weekend in the Premier Division. Joining us, as always, is Daryl Geraghty, a man who spends his Friday nights, Saturdays and sometimes Sundays, as we said previously, at League of Ireland grounds up and down the country, mostly in Dublin, but up and down the country as well from time to time. Daryl, you're very welcome again to Let's Talk Football.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it as always.
You are a font of League of Ireland knowledge, Daryl, and we are very happy to acknowledge that here every week on the Sports Hacks. Looking back over the weekend, I mean, Shamrock Rovers, once again, they're in the driving seat already this early in the season. But Michael Noonan, I saw Richie Towell on the RTE podcast during the week, and he's waxing lyrical about the ability that Michael Noonan has. He says, we talk about Troy Parrott, we talk about Evan Ferguson. He thinks Michael Noonan and Mason Mealy are in the same conversation. But Michael Noonan to score at the weekend, he's developing this season. I think there was a little bit earlier in the season where teams were starting to put pressure on him, maybe starting to discover how to play against them. He's adapted well, hasn't he?
He has. He's just such a big talent. I don't mean to be one of those obnoxious guys, but over the years I've been lucky enough to do some of the underage internationals for the FAI for like press release and stuff, and I've been watching Michael in particular since under 15s. I think he scored in his debut, and I said to all the groups and whoever, watch out for this name. This is something special, and he kept developing, and then I kept putting online. Pretty much like he plays, he scores, and then to see him develop into what he is at the moment is just not really a surprise, but the talent is whatever he wants to be, sensational. Like, you have to couple with what he's going through off the field with how he performs on the field as well. There's the background stuff with the agents and the FAI Shamrock Rovers. So, for him to put that aside, there seems to be a story every week about him and just go out and perform. And when he got the ball last week and he just faced up the defender, you thought, yeah, he means business here. And then he just took on everyone and slotted it away. And you're like, yeah, that's what he can do. He shows maturity years beyond his age.
And it's a testament to both Shamrock Rovers, to the board, who've had the belief in the manager, and to the manager himself and Stephen Bradley, that he's had the belief in young players. He hasn't been afraid to throw them in. I mean, we've spoken already on this show about the fact that Victor, he's talking him up for a senior Ireland international cap. And I know Rovers were disappointed that he wasn't in the team that went to Spain, or the squad that went to Spain. And there's another squad out next week for the two end of season games against Canada and home to Qatar. It doesn't look like he's going to be in that squad. This is Victor. But very soon, we're going to be talking about Michael in the same conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why not. He's already skipped up to the 21s and scored for them. Like, any level he seems to play at, he just seems to be comfortable. And he'll always bag a goal. So, like, it can not really much stopping him going to the top. And himself and Mason are absolutely going to be in the mix. Not too far away, I don't think either. So, yeah, we should just enjoy them while we can.
And while we have them playing here at home, Adam Brennan, he's 2 years older. He's getting on a bit, isn't he, Adam Brennan? He is settled in so well. He's settled in so well to Rovers, hasn't he?
He has. He's just, like, you see him when you talk to him after games. He looks like a normal guy, but he's one of those players that when he goes onto the pitch, he seems to grow a couple of feet every way, and his athleticism it's still blowing people away, blowing teams away. The way he can work that left side or right side, whatever side he's put on, like, you can't really do much to stop him because he's just like, he turns into a beast. And in a Stephen Bradley team, the wing backs are so important, and to come from a division down and slot in like he's been playing there years is just testament to himself, and obviously Stephen's coaching as well. So future's bright.
There was a player who went from UCD to Rovers, and Neil Ferrugia, and went on to play in England and is now playing in Scotland. So again, there's a pathway there. But for these youngsters coming in, if you're 17, as Michael is, or 19, or Victor's age, or whatever, but you're playing with Jack Byrne, you're playing with Pico Lopez, you're playing with Enda Stevens, there's real quality. Aaron Green, Rory Gaffney. These guys are passing on their experience. They're passing on their know-how. What an education as a young footballer.
Yeah, it's like there's no better skill, I don't think, at the moment. Being around those guys all day, every day, and knowing how much they want to help as well. Like you can clearly see that when you're in and around the camp or speaking to them after games, that they can't do enough for the kids. And you'll always hear the same in the interviews after, saying they forget that they're kids because when they go out to play, they're treated like everyone else, and they wouldn't be treated like that if they weren't good enough or mature enough to handle it. So, I mean, it's the ideal environment.
And it's frightening, I'm sure, for everybody else when we see the talent that is coming through the Rovers Academy. They're getting pushed into first team squads, they're getting pushed into first team action. There's no sign of this conveyor belt ending, and it just shows you the level that the other League of Ireland clubs. I know there's government money coming, there's a list of coaches being prepared, the applications for that opened up again the other day. But it just shows you the level that the other clubs now have to aspire to if they're going to match what Rovers are doing with young players.
Yeah, that's it, and having that faith in them as well. And then you look on the fan side of things; they love a homegrown player or someone who's come through the academy recently to latch onto it and keep that togetherness or the bond between the players and the fans. And as Stephen said himself, like to have that model of maybe having to sell one of these wonder kids every year, it just tops up the coffers on top of the European money, so it keeps them just that bit ahead of everyone else.
I think Corey Sullivan's been one of the finds of the season as well, hasn't he? I mean, he's come in, he's taken his chance.
Oh, yeah, he's just sensational. He's years ahead of his time. He's just so comfortable in whatever Steven asks him to do.
Mm.
I mean, like, when you're resting or taking Pico Lopez out of a team with the World Cup coming up and, you've no fear, nothing changes, that just says it all for what his level is as well.
I'm looking at the results from the weekend. St. Pat's, Waterford, winless Waterford. I'm sorry, we're still going to have to call them winless Waterford, but they have changed the
Of
manager. We
course.
spoke about that last week. It didn't get the bounce. They got the early bounce with the early goal, but they didn't get the bounce overall. And Graham Coughlin had some very home truths after the game, didn't he? I mean, he basically said there are players here who've reached the end of the line with us.
Yeah, pretty much. And he was surprised at the fitness levels and he kind of just laid out for the fans and the players what to expect, that there'll be no tippy tappy football or ticky taka, or we're not able to play triangle through teams like he said. It'll just be, we're gonna have to work harder. We're gonna have to cut out the mistakes, and if that means a summer window where he gets some players in that he can trust a bit more, make less mistakes, it's obviously helped them just get that one win somehow by hook or by crook. But it's just, yeah, he kind of laid out that this is the way it's going to be from now on, and it's going to be just a proper grind. And whoever's not on board, there's the
Good,
exit. And
good luck.
basically,
But
yeah.
we're talking about getting one win already at this stage of the season, but they're going to need so many wins just to get themselves back into any sort of survival mode. And you've got to think it's running away from them, don't you?
Yeah, I think it has now, and even the Sligo Rovers result, getting the draw against Shells, gone
Mm.
10 points, I think, ahead. Everyone's looking at those two as maybe the bottom two throughout from the start of the season, and yeah, just they're Sligo looking up. Waterford are they're just scraping around for anything. So, after those comments and having a week now with them on the training ground, it'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of green shoots somewhere
Mm.
or a style, because obviously you only had the two training sessions before. That's on Friday, so yeah,
You
that'll be good.
mentioned Sligo. You mentioned Sligo going to Shelbourne, scoreless draw in Talca Park, which is, I'm sure Sligo were the happier camp after that one. But I saw Joey O'Brien quoted it across the papers, etc. And he thinks Shells still have the best squad in the league. The league table doesn't reflect that, does it?
It doesn't know. We were chatting to him after, and there was no sense with them that they were lucky to get away with it in the end, because if anyone's watched Sligo Rovers goal, disallowed goal back, it's
Mm.
still a head scratcher. It's up there with one of the most baffling decisions, with Pat Hickey catching the ball basically. Like, I don't know how they saw offside, but yeah, chatting to him after, he was a lot more bubbly. He was a lot more upbeat. I think he was happy with the dominant performance. I think they could still be playing now and wouldn't have scored. There was
Mm.
lack of quality in the final third throughout the night. Um, but yeah, I think he's trying to keep that togetherness. There's a slight tension around Talca when they do play at home. and that's mirrored by their home form. Total contrast to the best away form in the league. So you can kind of see why he's coming out with stuff like that. That he also said that he's not listening to people. There's only a couple of people he'd go to for football chats, and he'd only listen to them. Anything else is just noise. So he's kind of fighting his corner a bit as well on that. But yeah, the squad is probably the best Shell squad they've had in years. Like it's
Is
so
it
much talent.
better even than the team that won the league? Do you think?
Oh, I'm not sure. It seems a bit more depth than the
Mm.
team that won the league. But I don't know which is
But the team that won the league got the results.
exactly. Yeah,
Chicken and egg, isn't it?
yeah, kind of. Yeah, they just didn't make as many mistakes. And obviously having Sean Gannon out of the team, that experience, maybe he can't play every game, but I thought it would have been used a bit more because he's looked good when he has been involved. And he was obviously with the league winning team. But yeah, it's a bit more depth, and I can understand kind of where he's coming from. But it sounded a bit more of a rallying cry, and to tell the players, yeah, we have full belief in them, and to get their heads back up after pretty poor performance in the final third. So yeah, I think it sounded a bit more a rallying cry than a
We
statement.
will. We will be looking ahead to the weekend's games here on Friday mornings. Let's talk football on the sportshacks.com. But just before we conclude, looking back last week, Alan Reynolds, we've discussed the some of the natives have been restless, but they went to Dundalk. Second half, brilliant goal from Aid Irvin, to be fair to him. But second half, Bohemians 2 goals, 3-1 win in the end. But they played well.
They did, yeah. They had to turn it on. And again, it's similar to the Shell situation. Once they go away from home, maybe the pressure's off them a little bit more. But then on the other side, from talking to fans, then they're saying, well, we needed a penalty and a sending off, and then a 93rd, fourth minute goal to kind of put the
Third
icing
goal,
on the
yeah.
cake. So you're it depends which side of the fence you're on with the Bulls fan. It's the performance is not happy, but they finally got the monkey off their back with that win, and you had to beat their tough team. It's a tough place to go, but yeah, it seems to be the same again with Reynolds. It's just I'll try every attacker I can and see, just hope some of them score.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't win, sometimes you can't win. I think that's the life of a football manager, particularly at this moment in time in the League of Ireland. And I have no doubt that the 3 points, 5 years from now, nobody will remember how they were won, and nobody will remember the red card and the penalty, etc., etc., etc. It was a red card, by the way. It was a
Yeah,
silly second yellow, to be fair.
yeah.
Well, look, we're going to look ahead, as I said, in Friday's edition of Let's Talk Football. So for now, Darrell, thank you for your time, and as always, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.